and sustainable. That is the aim finally, and help in nation building. So with this, I will thank you. So idea is again we are giving back something to society. That is the aim. So please participate in the ISSE activities. Become our member if you are not. Thank you. Now I will just introduce today's speaker, Mr. Jagdish Rele. He is civil engineer, but basically he is also structural engineer, and he has got vast experience of 40 years, 20 years in private sector, 10 years in US peacekeeping activity, and 13 years with World Bank. So he has held various positions. He was mission chief engineer in the larger field missions, design engineer for global peacekeeping for United Nations. He has published good amount of articles. He has given various guest lectures also. And he was senior project manager, international corporate real estate at World Bank. He was junior associate with Shirish Patel and Associates. He worked as a structural engineer there on various design projects. Now he has retired from all the assignments. So post-retirement, he is working as an independent consultant under the name of Chaiam Consultants. And he is a visiting faculty, of course, at IIT Bombay, CPT University Ahmedabad, Symbiosis University Pune, and Asian Institute of Technology Bangkok. So with his vast experience, Mr. Jagdish Rele will be sharing his experience with us during his journey as he worked on different peacekeeping missions as well as in World Bank. So I will welcome Mr. Jagdish Rele for our today's function. I will stop sharing my screen now. Over to Jagdish. You can take over.
हेमंत नेने सर के बारे में बोला किसने है?
क्या बोलते हैं शांति भाई?
नेने सर के बारे में बोल दिया या बोलना बाकी?
हाँ. And this is a lecture we are dedicating again to our founder, president, late Mr. R.L. Nene. So generally we conduct this lecture on 4th of August every year, but for some reason we couldn't do that activity on 4th of August. So that has been shifted to today's date, 22nd, but this is the same month we are just conducting this activity. Late Mr. R.L. Nene was a great structural engineer, and with 10 advisory trustees, he formed this association, that is Indian Society of Structural Engineers. So as I said in my introduction of ISSE, so this is a tribute to our late founder president, Mr. R.L. Nene. So over to you, Jagdish.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Hemant. So ISSE members, students, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for inviting me to this lecture today. Just for R.L. Nene has been a stalwart engineer and a much revered engineer. So I'm actually very privileged to be giving this lecture in his memory today. As Hemant mentioned, I have been working in various parts of the world, and I'm going to take you through a series of slides very quickly today because we are loss of time, and give a few minutes later on for the Q&A session. I also want to say that this series of slides that I have prepared are both for students as well as practicing engineers. So there will be a bit of a overlap in the two. So bear with me on that. Okay. So I'm basically a civil structural engineer, a fellow of Institution of Engineers. I worked in about 65 countries, 25 years abroad. And the most important thing that I learned while working in the United Nations and the World Bank is dealing with political situations and sensitivities. So you might ask what it does mean by dealing with political situation sensitivities. And I don't need to give too much explanation because you know how what is happening today in the world and how politically sensitive you need to be when you make even a statement anyway. And then, of course, managing the diverse stakeholders and their expectations, that's not easy. And today, as it's ironic that ISSE is also giving back to society, and I'm also doing the same and to Indian society and especially the students. So that's my global experience. What you see, the acronyms is ECA is East Europe and Central Asia. MENA is Middle East and Africa, North Africa, Africa continent itself, South Asia, where we are, of course, and East Asia Pacific. When I finished my last few years in the World Bank, I was basically in charge of these two uh, regions. And though it shows only 20, there are actually more than 40, there are totally about 45 countries that I was in charge of. And this is a pictorial view of where all I have been in my travels and work-related travels as well. This he has already explained, so I will not get into the details. Hemant has already told you this. So again, my privilege today. So this is something that I still believe in. We tend to get caught into various rigmaroles of life, and we tend not to be happy. We tend not to have fun. So if you can, try to do that if possible. And you know, main thing is there a difference between working in India and developing countries? It's not. It's actually the same. It's really the same. Uh, but I will come to it in more detail later on when now that I'm working more in India for the last 3 years, I come to that in a bit of a time. So I'm going to quickly tell you what the UN is about. You may already know it, and that's why I'll go through it very quickly. If not, then you can always look up the website and look at it further. So these are the five principal organs of the UN. I used to work for this organ, which is the Secretariat, which is based in New York. Okay. And this is the most powerful, as you know, Security Council. The four pillars are peace and security, human rights, rule of law, development. And that's the UN headquarters building in New York, which you're all familiar with. I was privileged to work on the renovation of the building, which was a $2 billion renovation, which was about 12, 14 years ago. That's the General Assembly Hall, and that's the Security Council. So again, I was privileged to sit in a Security Council briefing, which was a closed-door Security Council briefing. So there were not so many people that you see. And in the background, what you see people here, these were not there. We were just a few of us sitting around this table because it was a closed door briefing. And that's the highlight of my career. UN peacekeeping, what it is, it's basically to decide on how to enforce peace, and it's decided upon by the Security Council. If anybody's interested, we can go through this later on. Okay, I'm just skipping that quickly. And what are the Security Council resolutions? I'll just talk about these two resolutions, Chapter 6 and Chapter 7. Chapter 6, as it says, is basically a peacekeeping, and Chapter 7 is peace enforcement. So basically, in Chapter 6, you have to maintain peace. The observers, what we call military observers, do not carry any weapons at all, even for self-defense. They don't carry any. But in Chapter 7, it's basically simply called as if there is any kind of uh, skirmish that occurs and the UN comes into that, then they are allowed to shoot and kill. That's the UN peacekeeping. I don't know how many of you know, but there's a UN peacekeeping between India and Pakistan, which is based in Kashmir. So that's perhaps the oldest mission in there. That's some statistics for you. And financial aspects you can see at the bottom is $6.3 billion. That's again, some logistics. You can see huge logistics operations, including 58 aircrafts, so it's a pretty huge operation. And you can see the number of helicopters and all that. UN sustainable goals, sadly, it's not going to be done by 2030. I don't know when it will be done, but these are the goals that you have, totally 17 of them. And that's basically what it is. World Bank Group. This is the World Bank Group headquarters in Washington, D.C. This is where I used to work. Interestingly, this building, for those of you who are architecturally inclined, can look at it. It is a series of actually 4 buildings, and they have been joined together in a competition. And the competition was won by a famous architect in the US called Con Peterson and Fox. It's a very interesting building if any one of you want to know how to do architectural practice and obviously structural design to suit that. That's the atrium of the building. That's where the main activities are held, including the manual meetings and spring meetings. These are the 5 pillars of the World Bank. IBRD is the first one, which is where I was working. That's the first one that was created in 1947. 1945, after the end of the World War. And then these came into being later on. I'll quickly touch upon them. So IPRD is the one that lends to India, by the way. And India is a huge donor. I'm sorry, World Bank is a huge donor to India. One of the biggest, in fact, loans India takes. The loan is given for a period of about 25 years. So it's a soft loan and it's only 6 to 7% interest. It differs country to country, of course. And the other one is called IDA, which is again an interest, but it's interest-free loans and it's mainly given as a grant. Okay. So you don't have to pay it back. And these two make up the World Bank. Then there's a IFC, which is the private sector arm, and it's based in, there's 2 offices in Mumbai, one in Mumbai and one in Delhi. World Bank offices in Delhi only. And then there's this MEGA, which is insurance guarantee, and then there's for the settlement of disputes. The core values: impact, integrity, respect, teamwork, innovation. I'm just showing this not for you to look at, but just to tell you that the president over here is Ajay Banga, who is an Indian, was an Indian rather, now is a US national, and the ex head of MasterCard and the World Bank in India. So lessons learned, which I followed, one is patience. You need patience, a lot of patience. You need humility. You need to have ethos, and it's better to laugh than to cry. As I said, dealing with political situation, managing expectations, respect for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and of course, gender balance. And communication, maintaining an etiquette in written and spoken form, be respectful, correspond, say please, and thank you. Now, this is something more for students, only for students actually, not. You get a lot of opportunities in life. If you don't grab them at the right time, then you are in trouble. And I did exactly that. When I got all the opportunities, first with the UN and then with the World Bank, I took them. It was not an easy decision, but I took them, and that's how I reached where I am today. Don't try to procrastinate. Take the risk. And you obviously know this mantra. Everybody says this: success without failure is not possible. So I'll just show you a few projects in the World Bank. So this is an interesting project. It was a ground and one up, ground up building which we constructed in a landlocked country called Laos. I don't think many of you know where Laos is, but it's next to Cambodia. And it was a green building platinum rating. Okay. It is the first for the country and this thing. It is about the other statistics you can see. The interesting thing is that this building, when we started constructing, the land was an archaeological survey. So we had to conduct a full archaeological survey before the government allowed us to construct on this. And there's a small place where I have made where the archaeological findings are available for anybody and everybody to see. This is in our backyard in Colombo in Sri Lanka. We took the top two floors of the building. It's a Shangri-La Hotel building. And we joined them together by the staircase. The staircase was not there. So that is a bit of a structural thing that we had to do. And this also, as you can see, got the Green Building Platinum rating. This is in Myanmar. I opened the office of the World Bank in Myanmar. That was the first office that the World Bank ever opened, and I did that. And again, this got the LEED Gold certification. And Bangladesh, it was an existing building, but I renovated it and got the LEED Gold rating for it. There are various projects in Africa for improvement of security and electrical installations because of frequent power outages. You can see it was about a $10 million procurement. This is a small building. Again, I don't think you'll know where Mauritania is, but it's on the west coast of Africa. And this building was purpose built by a landlord for us. UN peacekeeping, this is what I've done, various locations. This is by far the most interesting mission that I ever did, which is in Darfur, which is in the west of Sudan, where genocide was occurring. So this was the Chapter 7 mission. It is extremely tough. The conditions were extremely harsh. The winter temperatures used to fall down to 7 and 8 degrees Celsius, and the summer temperatures used to go up to 50 degrees Celsius. And as you can see, the largest campsite was 1 kilometer by 2 kilometers. So it's huge. It's not something that we ever see in India. And the smallest was 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer. And this is what you see here on all this is the barren land. Okay. So this is what when we developed it, all this is just barren land and sand. It's a massive operation. My budget, the engineering budget in the first year was $542 million. And I got a budget approved from the UN for $750 million. That is $750 million. This is where the war is currently ongoing between Israel and Lebanon and Hezbollah and Palestine, etc. So this is where I was as well. It's quite an interesting story to tell at a later date when there's more time. These are the private sector projects. This is when I was with Shirish Patel office. And for this, this was the largest factory in construction in Asia at the time. For those of you who are of age, will remember Indira Gandhi's assassination, and after that, Rajiv Gandhi's signed an accord with Longowal in Punjab. And this was a part of the gift by Rajiv Gandhi to the people of Punjab to create employment because they lacked employment. So a rail coach factory was built, which is the second rail coach factory in the country, the first one being in Perambur. And this was a complete prefab construction from, except for the foundation, everything above the ground is prefab. And we had prefab, not just steel, but prefab concrete as well. And this is also a prefab on the ground. This is 20 meters by 12 meters. It's a stress skin roof. It was designed by Dr. Nori. I think many of you know him. And interestingly, for structural engineers, this weight was somewhere in the range of, I think, 15 or 18 kilograms per square meter. Okay. So you can imagine extremely low weight. But guess what? The contractor was cursing us and me especially, saying that आप लोगों ने इतना बनाया तो है weight, but you have not calculated how much effort goes into constructing this. So whatever you saved on the cost of steel has got compensated by the effort on constructing this. So that's something noteworthy. And on the right, what you see was designed by Shirish Patel himself. Normally in a factory, what happens is that the tube lights are spaced all over, and then to maintain them becomes very difficult. So he designed this where the tube lights are in a radial fashion, as you can see. And the chokes are all over here. This is on a pulley. So this whole thing comes down, if any of the tubes, and you can put it up. And it's very easy to do that. And of course, the skylights. This was a low-cost housing for Circo, which was designed by the famous architect Raj Raval. And again, I was the structural engineer. I was the project manager because we did both structural engineering as well as project management for this. Quite an interesting structure. This is in Bangalore. Uh, Again, I think I'm not going to ask you because you can't answer, but this is actually beer bottles. So this was also designed by Shirish Patel himself. And this is fantastic, the beer bottle cladding. So this structure looks new all the time. These are vertical axis rotating louvers in concrete, only 75 thick. This height is 2.4 meters. Okay. And these are folded plate that you all know, which is only 50 thick. The span is 12 meters. This was in Dammam, Saudi Arabia. This is for who's who of Saudi Arabia, including King Fahd and all that, and all those people at the time. Each chalet is 5,000 square meters. Sorry, 5,000, 5,000 square feet, I beg your pardon. And it's completely prefab. So only the foundation is a rough foundation, and all these are large panel prefabricated structures. This is a mall in Bahrain. Quite an interesting structure. This is a 20-meter diameter glass dome, which was manufactured in the US, in Buffalo to be precise. I went and saw it before it was shipped. And then they shipped the entire thing from Buffalo to Bahrain. And only one glass pane broke, so which we had to fly in. So it was fabulous. These are some heritage structures that I worked on. This is the iconic Prince of Wales Museum. In Mumbai, of course. And this is the extension that we did to Prince of Wales Museum. These are the same louvers that I showed you, but these are 3.6 meters high. And these are glazed louvers, as you can see. Okay. So this is, and the architect was Rahul Mehrotra. Again, Bombay Gym. This entire corridor that you see was restored by me and Rahul Mehrotra together. Similarly, in this yacht club, we restored large part of it, including this dome and this roof and all these roofs. This is for the Aga Khan Darkhana in Mumbai, and you can see the before and after photos of restoration. So that's basically it. But I just want to also tell you that it's not all hunky-dory. This, what you see, is the World Bank office in Cote d'Ivoire, which is Ivory Coast, again on the west coast of Africa. There was a civil war, and when I was looking after the office, we had to evacuate all the staff. And as a result of the civil war, there's a lot of shooting on our office, and you can see the results of this shooting. We had, of course, restored it afterwards. This is how I used to live in Darfur. This is all it is. It's a 20-foot container. This 20-feet container, 2.4 meters by 6 meters. That's it. You can see my laptop over here, my bed, and that's it. You can see that there's no toilets. So toilets are outside, common toilets. It's tough life. It's not easy. And this is the office. So this is my chair. This is my table for conferencing. And I used to have all my meals in this office. My breakfast, my lunch. Lunch I used to be outside, and dinner, which I used to cook myself. And cooking means what? I got a small, I had a microwave given by the UN. I bought a small microwave rice cooker. I used to bring the rice from New York when I used to fly in, and packets of ready to eat. And guess what? After 9 months of eating ready to eat packets, my liver got damaged. And for 1 year, I was on boiled food, and most important of all, no booze. So this is my motivation. My wife and me standing at the entrance of the World Bank office, and you can see all the flags. My two sons, and this is my main focus nowadays, my 3.5-year-old granddaughter. And that's what I spend my time on. So closing thought, basically, I worked on the principles of ethics and integrity. I ensure that the values that were inculcated by my parents are maintained. And as you know, we all are born with good values, but as we grow, the values change dramatically. So I've always followed the principle of being a good citizen and a compassionate human being. No class barriers. I'm quite happy to entertain and work with anybody and everybody at all levels of society. I follow a discipline and I'm never afraid. And this is me in college. So for those of you who remember college days, so you can see, I'm not going to ask you to guess where I am, but you can later on. So thank you very much. Hemant, over to you.
Yeah, Jagdish, it was quite interesting about your experience. Now, I think we are open for any questions from the participants. The first thing, as a citizen, as a layman, which comes to my mind is there are some security councils and so many, I think, uh, procedures set in the World Bank and in the UN as well, of course. So still there are wars going around the world every time. So I don't know what is the mechanism to stop this type of wars. Is there any way to do that? And still why it is happening all the time everywhere?
It's a very interesting question, but a very difficult question to answer diplomatically. Okay. Let me try to answer it as diplomatically as I can. Okay. You know, the essence in all of this is, there's always a give and take in any form of society. There's a give and take at home between you and your spouse, right? There's a give and take at home between you and your children. There's a give and take all the time. And this give and take, when it gets into larger areas with huge outlay of funds, then it becomes extremely complicated. Let me narrate one thing very, very interestingly to you. Okay. I was looking after in fact, I was in charge of the first Somalia mission in the UN after the debacle where the American soldiers were shot at and they had to escape. So it was a very difficult situation. And what the UN decided was that they would not supply the UN troops, but they would ask Africa to supply their troops, and the UN would provide money to the African troops plus the logistic support. Okay, so a lot of money was involved. If I'm not mistaken, the budget then was somewhere in the range of about $750 million. Okay, is what I remember. Okay, so large amount of money. So what happens is that first you get the budget approved with one committee. So I got the budget approved through that one committee along with my bosses. And then the budget goes to a political committee for approval. So in the political committee for approval, it's very interesting. It's like a classroom setting. So and these are ambassadors, huh? These are not our first secretary, not low-level staff of embassies. They are all sitting in a row like this, facing each other. One table, second table, third table. And the UN Secretariat staff is sitting here, the chair of the committee, and I'm sitting directly behind the chair because we are not allowed to talk. But if any questions are asked, then the chair will turn to me and say, "Can you answer that?" Then I answer that question. Okay. Interestingly, these sessions start at 6 p.m. in the evening. Okay. They don't start before that. They go on up to 7, 8, okay, whatever time it takes. So like that, I attended 3 or 4 sessions. I don't recollect now. Then the penultimate session, the chairman told, we had standing by, the chairman told me, "We don't need you today, you can go home." So I went, we all went home, myself and my staff. The next day when I came, he called me, he said, "We have settled." I said, "Okay, good. What has happened?" "The budget is approved." Then I found out that what happened was the Africans wanted this money, but the other groups wanted something out of the Africans. So that barter was done. Okay. And we were not privy to that barter because they didn't want us to be privy. So that's how interestingly the things work. The same thing in the World Bank, you know, it's all very interesting. I try to answer as best as I can. The more if you want more direct answers, then you got to sit across me and I'll give you more direct answers. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thanks. And you showed some of the projects I think you have done for UN in various countries in the shortest possible time. I think maybe in economically, of course. But the important part is they were all platinum rated or gold rated, I think, buildings. So can you throw some more light on this aspect of green building and what are the uh, clauses required to be satisfied, the conditions, so that you get this kind of rating? So I think our viewers or our engineers also must know about that rating and how to get that rating and what are the things required to be done for that.
Okay, thank you. Again, a very good question. So obtaining a platinum rating is never easy. Okay. And especially in these kind of countries. Obtaining a platinum rating in India is relatively easy. In all developed other sort of countries like India, it's relatively easy. But in these countries, it is not. And the reason being is very simple. For example, this building I'm particularly showing you because you notice that it's not LEED rating, but it is from Singapore. And I deliberately took the rating from Singapore, not from LEED in America, because I said Singapore is closer to Asia and they know more about these things. And it's more stringent. For those of you who want to know, the Singapore rating is more stringent than the LEED rating. Okay. And at that time, the LEED rating was only America specific. So it was only for America. It was not for any other country. Today, LEED rating is for all, they modified it for all countries. So it's much easier. So one of the things that happened over here, for this rating is one of the requirements was to use recycled concrete. Okay? So I had several meetings in Singapore with these guys. I said, where the hell am I supposed to get recycled concrete in Laos? It's a developing country, for God's sakes, you know. We are going there to give them loan and other such things. No, you have to have. I said, you are out of your mind. There's no way in hell. So then I had to go up several ladders in their hierarchy because I knew the boss and get them to convince them that, look, it's not going to happen. So you need to reduce your thing. So some of the things that we did over here, I don't know if you can notice this, but these are panels. Okay. These are steel panels, steel frame panels with mesh. And we are growing creepers on this. Okay. And this entire thing is a parking area which is completely open. So that is one of the things. Then this entire roof that you see over here is got solar panels. Now, the interesting thing about solar panels, there is no framework. These are not your standard panels. These panels came in rolls. Okay. And you just take out the roll, there's a adhesive, you stick the adhesive to concrete straight away. So that is another interesting thing. And over here, you can see a pergola. So these pergolas and all are areas which are important for circulation. And this, all of these things, plus there's a pond over here that you can't see. And that pond is used for rainwater recirculating. And the sewage treatment is very interesting. For those of you who can make a note of it, it's called BORDA, Borda. It's a German make. It's like your septic tank, but not the same. Similar to septic tank, but it's very interesting. So we did a lot of innovations over here to get these things. And similarly for other countries also, it's the same thing. So I'll just tell you one very quickly over here. So one of the things they said is that you must have um, cyclists, cycle parking, and have cyclists. I said, are you out of your mind? Myanmar is full of cycles. And now they are trying to get away from cycles to cars. And now you want me to provide cycle tracks and all of that kind of thing? Are you completely daft? And then, of course, they agreed with me. Next. Thank you.
Okay, good. Any question from the participants? You can either type into the chat box or you can unmute yourself and then ask the question, please. Because we are still, I think, 5-10 minutes
Yeah.
time.
Good morning, sir. I have a small question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. Good morning, sir. This is Amol Kulkarni from Hyderabad. I have a small question to Rele sir. What would you like to suggest to the current generation of structural engineers in view of the construction practices being implemented in India and keeping an cutting edge of the basic key requirement of having IGBC or USGBC lead certification in all Indian corporate or commercial sectors? So what changes or what suggestion you would like to give it to the upcoming structural engineers who are practicing in India? Thank you.
Thank you. So, look, I mean, I have a great deal of respect for Indian engineers, okay, throughout. And I don't mean only structural engineers, I mean all engineers. And in particular, for structural engineers, I think what we need to understand is that there are a few things that are important, especially when you're looking at green building certifications. And that is to ensure that you follow the code strictly. Second is that you design structures that can be easily constructed. Okay. And that's important. Now, that's a bit of a anomaly here because you design structures based on what the architects tell you to do. And sometimes I'm sorry to say the architects tell you to do something impossible and which is not correct. Okay. Not many structural engineers have the courage to speak up and say, ye nahi ho sakta hai, you know, because this is not, and I will not do it. The other thing that, interestingly, I was talking to Hemant about it earlier, is that we have noticed that a lot of mishaps have occurred, especially in and around Mumbai, due to the rains, right? And it's not necessarily due to structural engineers, but it's due to construction practices, right? So how can you, and this is a question now to you, how can you as a structural engineer ensure that the structural practices that are required to be followed are indeed followed by the contractor, are not cost cut by the client, and all of that? I don't know. Atul? Atul, you're on mute.
Sir, this is Amul.
Sorry, Amol, I beg your pardon. My apology.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, sir, the question was asked in view of the not in terms of cost cutting practices. I am a project management professional having a good interest into structural design, engineering, and then execution. But my various my experience of construction of various types of commercial IT parks and then institutional building, I came across through one challenge that yes, there are very minimalistic structural engineers available in market who has courage to communicate that yes, this can be done or is this possible, and these things are not at all possible. But at the ground level reality, the project manager who drives the complete project from concept to close out should have that kind of hands-on experience on a structural engineering so that he should understand what kind of behavior or response the structure is going to give and what should be the execution stages and how we will be able to make 100% justice with the design boundary conditions. That's the basic gap I am observing since last 14-15 years. I'm practicing in Hyderabad since last 16 years, but the way with which South India is doing development in terms of adopting new construction techniques, methodology, daily having a keen attention on innovative ideas, the attention is that much not being paid at the northern part of the India. Moreover, as the corporate clients are very much keen to go ahead with USGBC platinum certification, yes, I am also of the same opinion that adopting USGBC norms in Indian continental part is very much difficult. It's almost a tough task for any project management consultant to comply those norms and a strict adherence to the uh, norms to get it liable within that certification limit. Moreover, yes, corporate clients are not that much keen on cost. They are very much keen on the performance of that particular area, aspect, or building or unit. But when it comes to Indian client, majorly with the developers, their thought process starts with cost cutting edge. Then the value engineering will not be a value engineering, it will become reverse engineering. And that is how the various types of challenges are being faced by Indian structural engineers as well as project management consultants. I am belonging to an international property consultant since last 18 years. But even though we are working for an international brand, our thought process starts with Indian engineering aspect, what is available, how we can utilize it, what's the best outcome we can give it to the client. See, but our major intention, means my personal intention, is that we should be in position to create such a sustainable infrastructure which will generate a revenue generation model for at least 15 years, because where we are creating infrastructure for those upcoming and budding engineers, even though it becomes part of IT, non-IT, real estate, or support staff, engineering and non-engineering aspect. So it's very much difficult for the Indian construction as well as execution industry to adopt the innovative technologies, then understanding the basic concept put forth by structural engineer, and then arriving at a right construction execution approach. Last but not least, all these things should be get amalgamated to target to get USGBC platinum certification. So that's why I was just trying to understand from you, because as we have vast experience in US and European continent, so how they are able to adopt such requirements as per their USGBC norm, as we don't have any such governing council for green building and sustainability aspects in India. Moreover, our Indian IS codes are also having quite limitations in terms of use of anchor fasteners, PEB structural design engineering, composite steel structure. So with these conditions, I just wanted to understand how we can adopt the global level standard practices into our Indian construction technology or Indian construction practices.
I think let's take it offline, because this is a discussion that requires more in-depth discussion. You can get my contact details. I'm happy to have a detailed discussion with you on this subject. And anybody else who wants to join, please do. Yes, please. I see one
Am I
hand up.
audible, sir?
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Go
Dr.
ahead.
Satish, you can go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hemant ji is our national president. I happen to be chairperson of the Indore chapter. So there were some connectivity issues. I could join very late, but sir, whatever you have presented, that appears to be wonderful. For Colombo, you are showing some very special design. Here, I have one small question, which is more related to structural engineering. Sir, from the viewpoint of earthquake resistance, etc., this type of aesthetic appearance, is it okay, or something more is required?
I think Hemant can answer that question better than I can.
But you are the expert speaker, sir.
No. I mean, all we have done. See, this structure has been designed. It's a building designed by a Japanese consultant. Okay, I'm talking about this building that I'm showing here. Okay, the entire complex. I mean, you can Google it. The entire complex has been designed by a Japanese consultant, and it's a part of the Shangri-La group of hotels. It's a complex. All we have done is to break a hole in the slab and construct the stairs. These stairs are basically constructed in steel, clad with wood. Okay, it's not a concrete stair.
Oh,
Yeah, you're right. Now, when
so there
making
will be a lot of
this,
flexibility, you want to say,
yes,
sir?
yes,
I got
and
it, sir.
while
Thank you so
yeah,
much.
and while making this thing, we obviously consulted the original constructional designer, showed them what reinforcement we are doing around before making the slab. What
And
is the
Japanese are
procedure?
quite good in earthquake resistant. They are facing
Exactly.
it day in and day out.
Exactly.
Okay, sir. I just wanted to interact. I showed my
No.
face. I have some medical issues, but somehow I made it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Very
Nice to
kind.
hear you, sir.
Very kind.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
And I'm impressed by your physical outlook, sir. Physical
Oh,
features.
really?
I'm appreciating.
I'm impressed.
Okay, sir.
My
Thank
day
you,
is
sir.
made.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Satish ji. Thank you.
Any other
Thank you,
question?
Hemant ji.
Yeah, welcome. If there are no more questions, I think we can interact with Mr. Jagdish Rele offline as well. You can send a mail to ISSE. You can forward your queries and then we'll try to answer if that is not covered in the today's discussion. So if there are no more questions, we will try to wrap it up. So I will request Mr. Paresh Unmerkar to announce our future lectures and programs about ISSE and propose vote of thanks. Paresh, please.
Of structural engineers, it is my distinct honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks for today's session under the prestigious R.L. Nene Memorial Lecture 2026. We pay our rich tributes to our founder and visionary leader, late engineer R.L. Nene, whose commitment to elevating the engineering profession inspires his memorial lecture series. A heartfelt thank you to engineer Jagdish Rele, founder and CEO of Chaiam Consultant, former chief engineer with the UN Peacemaking Department and former senior project manager at the World Bank. Thank you, sir, for illuminating presentation on adventures of a globe-trotting civil engineer. Your wide-ranging global experience across over 65 countries have offered us rare, invaluable insight into international project management, adaptability, and leadership. Gratitude to the management technical committee and backend to team of ISSE for organizing this seamless webinar and continuing to foster professional excellence. Thank you all structural engineers, consultant, and student for your enthusiastic participation and engaging interaction throughout this session. One upcoming announcement, we invite all members and structural engineering professionals to mark their calendars for upcoming offline technical seminar. Topic is IS 875 Part 3, Rethinking of Wind Loads for Tall Structure. Key speakers, Dr. Suresh Kumar and Mr. Rahul PS. Date is 4th September at 5:30 p.m. Venue is KV Auditorium, Matunga, Mumbai. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining. We sign off.
Thank
now.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, sir.